No, I mean, you went all the way up to playing for the national team. And how did that not faze you? I mean, you stayed focused. I remember a time, young one, I was the legends some God. And I never get to see a lot, but so I knew you were getting bread. And I was always intrigued. Okay, how? When the other guys were doing whatever they were doing, what were they doing that you were doing differently?
I don't know. I can't place my finger on it, but it probably has to be with family upbringing. From a young age, you get the right guidance. You know when it's time for school and when it's time for sport, and when you can mix and match the two.
Yes, sir.
And striking that balance like Ibu I remember once go UB. I went I'll be away for 3 weeks in Ghana with the under 20s or something. So timing when the professor Ansarek, I think he's now one of the judges go International Criminal Court.
Yeah.
So the day I arrived, the following day about a test. Abampa test the more you know it's so Hagopana you know your brother loves football but he will fail. Tell him that.
People of different identities. Podcast with BFA.
Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Podicast. We are one episode away from our 60th episode, man. Well, this is our 60th episode. Hey, like what are my vita? I want to get serious. But anyway, welcome to the show, guys. Thank you so much for the support, and remember to like and subscribe on the Local Corner Multimedia page. That's where you're getting every single thing that you need to know about the Podcast and everything BW music related. And man, rest in peace to Maluma Vector. We love ourselves some Ubuntu band here, called Local Corner as well. So, they were working very, very closely with Butale. We're about to see our little homie blow up as well. So it's very, very tragic to see that a young life has been lost. We wish his family all of the condolences. But today it's a whole other show. This is an interview that I've always wanted to have because this is one gentleman, what is the most complex individual that I know who is out there with his name well known, but he would rather stay in the back burners because, a lot of the time when we talk about talented anything, most of the people usually leave school. But don't just get. But our big homie here has been able to find a balance, and we want to talk to him about how he was able to strike that balance from a young age, being a child star as far as football is concerned, and also being such an integral part of the BW government as chief negotiator at the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. He has played for Notwani, and he's also played for the Zebras as well. And apart from that, he's an experienced trade lawyer in regional and continental integration for over 20 years. He's also, like I said, an effective negotiator. And he's one of Botswana's biggest assets, man. And we just want to talk to him about now. With all that said about him, he also seems to be wanting to get into the Botswana Football Association to make some changes in there because we've been seeing Sunday soccer is taking over. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, in the house we're joined by Butale. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Kante, you're one of the few people, like, when I'm online and I'm talking about basketball, you usually comment on that. What is your relationship with basketball?
It's Michael Jordan.
Hey, Michael Jordan.
Growing up, Michael Jordan was there. He brought basketball to the rest of the world.
Yes, sir.
But now I'm a sports fanatic.
Yeah.
Football, basketball, boxing, I follow Tata.
definitely. No, that's why we vibe. We vibe because of. I love all sports. I think that's another thing. But like I love competitiveness, and I think maybe it's because of hip hop. But I find like all sports, I gravitate to a whole lot, So I love that you're the same. I want to talk to you a little bit about your upbringing because you were able to be successful in football and also what is it like? How were you brought up to be able to like balance both? Because as we know, a lot of people would rather choose one and leave the other one, especially in BW.
Yeah, growing up, Tamakana arana team ya Piazza go White City.
Oh, okay.
And my father was a strong advocate for education. So he wasn't a high-ranking officer, but he made sure he took us to one of the best primary schools.
Yeah.
So
Which one is that one?
Thornhill.
Oh, Thornhill.
So
okay.
he would emphasize as gala, but extracurricular ko lebaleng ko White City.
Okay.
So ever since I was about 6 years old, I grew into striking that balance, and it's not easy.
No, I mean you went all the way up to playing for the national team, and how did that not faze you? I mean, you stayed focused. I remember a time in one I was the Legends and I never get to see a lot, but so I knew you were getting bread, and I was always intrigued. Okay, how? When the other guys were doing whatever they were doing, what were they doing that you were doing differently?
I don't know. I can't place my finger on it, but it probably has to be with family upbringing. From a young age, you get the right guidance. You know when it's time for school and when it's time for sport, and when you can mix and mesh the two.
Yes, sir.
And striking that balance like Ibu Tata. I remember once go UB. I went Kebola lecture. I'll be away for 3 weeks in Ghana with the under 20s or something. So timing when the Professor Ansarek, I think he's now one of the judges go International Criminal Court.
Yeah.
So the day I arrived, the following day about a test. Abampa test the more notes is on horneke. So Hagopana sister, your brother loves football, but he will fail. Yeah. Tell him that.
Because this is law, huh?
Yeah.
But that's really crazy because this is the under 20 team that a lot of us really started opening our eyes to football. Botswana, it's possible. How did you get into that team?
No, with passion.
Where were you going to school at the time? Like, where did you go for junior and stuff?
Okay, Thornhill, then junior go Nohang, then senior go GSS.
So, Lipikilo look GSS.
Eh.
So, how was the picking situation back then?
Back then, Ghana, we had a Chappies Little League.
Yeah, I remember.
We used to play football every day, training. Every weekend, football, competitive games. So it was easy to identify the talent.
Okay.
Because our team was under 17 national champion at Chappies way back then. So some of the guys fell along the wayside, but now I had that passion. When you are prepubescent, you experience things, teeny time, Little Up 585. Some of the guys will be going there. Now we'll be going to play. When you get now to your 16, 17-year-olds, partying, girls, but you have to sacrifice those things. Like all throughout my varsity, this is your girlfriend. Footballer, let's get hell. No partying. And the first time I drank alcohol, exam my 5th year law.
Are you serious?
Serious. Bertrams and Coke. No, sharp, but still allows similar, you have to control your alcohol intake, especially for a sportsman. You can go for 6 weeks in camp. Hosena entertainment. And you have to be mentally strong. I remember now under 23, we would go for months, go joining. 5 a.m. bus alla ti reverse 6 a.m. is physical training. Strength. 10 a.m. technique. Never coach, I get this German old man, Karl-Heinz Maroski. Technique like how to shoot the ball. He really taught us a lot. 3 o'clock every day without fail, we play 90 minutes of football. So you can imagine. And after that, I have to catch up with notes.
That's insane. But what is it about like your upbringing though? Tell us a little bit about the household. Well, what type of household was your family running? You know, your bro is also well known in law and also politics. But what is it about the household that made you guys so disciplined towards what you ultimately became?
I think it was the parents. We had a 2-parent household, strict discipline. So that he can pay school fees for us. And coming to think of it, I think you know. And he didn't drink alcohol until hot stuff China. But I think nearly guidance from the parents. But luckily for me, I was the youngest. So I had my sister, my brother Biggie, my brother Bim, and then myself. So how abala 7 or 8. So you have to match that or better that. So motivation on now thing, and luckily for me being the youngest, I had that support, that assistance from my older siblings.
Definitely. And Bim Salabim was not to be played with also. Is he the reason you ended up playing football? How did you get attracted to football?
No, through our father, Risa. Bim 18 months. So it's like we are twins. So every day of our life, disc. Every day.
Did Biggie play though?
He played, but he stopped. Then he went into politics. UB, so he quit football. Rona, since Boma 6 years old, every day disc.
Definitely. How do you think that shaped what you ultimately became in your career? You're in sports.
It did. In everything you do, there are constants. You need to know to manage time. You need discipline. Any profession you want to talk about. Those 2 things are the most 2 important constants in anything you do. If you can't manage time, and if you can't meet appointments, also not discipline. Blind. Example, he could have been bigger than Dr. Khumalo, but he couldn't master these 2 aspects: time management, discipline.
Facebook because apparently Linda Butale, I was watching the clip earlier. Linda Butale was saying he's not a Kaizer Chiefs legend now because he didn't put in the time, and also because of that lack of discipline. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
It's his opinion. Because deep down he knows he messed up. You know. Linda Butale, Dr. Khumalo is not a legend. Dr. Khumalo won't respond to Linda, but the public will tell Linda, Linda, you are smoking something very strong.
I want to get into how you got into law itself. Were you a good student at GSS? Like, did you have any other options, or was that always like what you wanted to ultimately become?
No, I was a good student, but law was always what I wanted to become, because pure science, mixed science. So I was in the pure science class. TS 95 Jan. Nekaya for PESC, but now I knew I'm doing law August. So allowance PESC, no science. To be a doctor or something.
Or like BSc.
Pre-BSc, PESC, pre-entry science course.
Okay.
So the best of those students never remember overseas to do medicine, to do whatever.
Okay.
But I quit after the Sahamedzi strike. I think that was 2 months in. Then there was that break after the Sahamedzi strike, and I felt, no, I just do other things and come back to school August to do law.
Why did you quit? how did it affect you, your net idea thing, the strike? Because you be never instigate a lot of the riots that happened in the city.
We marched there and the police were thrashing people. But now, like I'm telling you, or I'm going to study law. So going for PESC was just to while away time and to get allowance.
So how did you end up getting into law? Did you apply again? Like how did it happen?
No, I got a PESC used to be in January. Then law Butale, the normal August.
Okay.
So between February and August, I found a job to do. Then August, they began roller for law.
For law. And how was your law experience? Did you finish on time?
Yes, I finished on time. I did my master's degree on time.
But how are you playing for Notwani? Like, are you a loner? Like, did you have friends? Like,
yes, I had friends. AEC. I
wasn't
a
the
nerd.
guys you played with.
Yes, but I wasn't a nerd. That's why it's all about discipline and time management.
Yeah.
How you know between 2 and 4 is schoolwork. You're in the library. Then afterwards is training.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, maybe on a Thursday we can meet up to go Nando's, African Mall, or pizza or something.
Yeah.
But football or Friday, you get into camp. You don't go out.
Yeah.
So I can imagine how many manyalo I missed, how many funerals I missed. It's a family. It's a whole lot.
Definitely. Yeah. So your first job when you graduate, because you have one of the most, I think it's the coolest job, because I'm always trying to imagine, what does a chief negotiator for the Ministry of Trade do? You know, and it sounds like, you know, you are the end point for most of the deals that we see happening within the country. So I'm trying to figure out the path for anyone who might want to be something of the sort one day. So where do you start off getting employment? Do you, immediately get into the civil service, or do you do some stuff beforehand?
Not necessarily, but a negotiation, it takes any skill. You can be an economist and grow into a negotiator. You can be a lawyer. You can be anything and become a negotiator. But my path, ke really law school. I remember Leruma Mohobe through Mara, because we played football together, go UB. Yeah. He got me a job, huh? Yeah. But I saw
Mohobe's Nuggets.
He had a law firm employer, Sebero.
Okay.
So Sebero got me a job there. But I looked at his schedule and no, so I went to AG's chambers. It's not as hectic as the private law firms, because there are many lawyers there, so we distribute work. And the employer was very supportive. Never really suffer a month-long camp. But as I went up the ladder, I couldn't be released for month-long camp. So what I did, I would go to work in the morning, but that meant 5
Yeah.
5 before I got spanning because the guys would train maybe 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And then do gym 11 to 12, then 3 o'clock. So that's what I used to do. And to become a negotiator, I was seconded from the AG's chambers to the Ministry of Trade. So as the legal advisor there, I was put in the negotiation team headed by the then chief negotiator, Nele Ambassador Masisi.
All right, at the time.
Not the president, Mothar Masisi.
Oh, okay.
So I worked with him. Then one day he decided to retire. And the PS asked me, do you think you can do this? Yeah, I think I can. So then I was acting for the job. This was like I'm 28, 28. This post is like PS, then chief negotiator.
Yeah. And you got it at 28.
Unheard of in government, unheard of. 28, I was there. How to take a point, you are substantive. You know government people, but very conservative. Yeah. And I took a year. We had the minister go and lobby the president. Yeah.
Whoa.
So then I was appointed until now. But I have a very solid team. It runs across all government, depending what we are negotiating. We have financial services. We have Bank of Botswana, Ministry of Finance. I have people at BURS, AG's chambers, agriculture.
Yeah. I want to talk about that, the actual, the chief negotiating part of your job. What are some of the key initiatives, you've been involved in to attract, foreign direct investment into Botswana?
In terms of attracting investment, KBITC, that's a mandate. But for them to attract investment, we have to create the conducive environment.
Okay.
And one of those things that will appetize investors, do you have a free trade agreement with whatever country ba batlang go market that? Example, we have this citrus company producing dinamoni, grapefruit, and the like.
The one in Pikwe?
Yes.
Here.
They set up here not to sell to me and you, but to sell to Europe, America, and wherever. Because we negotiated economic partnership agreement airing, we can send any and everything to Europe, discharge duty.
Okay.
So then, when we are done with that, we go to BITC. BITC, we have this. This is as good as money, the agreement. So go out there and get investors to come and set up here so that they can benefit from the markets we negotiated.
For the layman, let's say I'm the layman, we always think diamonds are the major component of what, amounts to what our GDP is. We're always told that. As someone who works with negotiating terms for agreements for Botswana, what are some of the things that we can actually hold our heads high and say that apart from the diamonds, and also speak to the beef also, like what are some of the things that we can say?
No, true, diamonds but still in mining, before I give work, I diversify in the economy. We have huge coal deposits in Botswana. But the lobby are sustainability and I think, what's the term?
Greenhouse gases.
Greenhouse emissions and all that. We need to protect the environment.
Yes,
while So we have a window about 20 to 30 years to beneficiate our coal, to get electricity, even to sell to those markets. Because after the Ukraine-Russia war, guys went back to coal because Russia closed the taps. It's gas, which they use in Europe to heat households and all. So one, we have coal deposits that can plug the gap. Not entirely, but they can help.
Yeah.
While we look at ways of diversifying. And in terms of diversifying the economy, industrialization is very important. We have to be manufacturing something.
Yeah.
Whether batteries for electric cars, because we have the resources in Africa. Whether harnesses, computer box. We have to do something. Whether now moving to agriculture and food production, produce enough food to feed ourselves and to be able to export.
Yeah.
There are a lot of opportunities out there, which in the next 50 years, because that's when diamonds are projected already ahead. The generation coming after us should be able to look and say, the time at me, the diamonds, but the Botswana economy is still growing. And it's not a pipe dream, because you look at countries like Japan, Singapore, they have no resources. But because of services trade, like now, Botswana, agriculture used to be the second highest earner of GDP, but no more. Now it's tourism. Now, how do we keep the money at tourism in Botswana to develop the sector and indeed to branch into other sectors? Is a challenge that we must figure out in the near future.
But as far as resolve within our government institutions and within the populace, I guess, from your observation, do we look like we are up for it? Do we look like we're proactive in challenging and going for those ideas and actually trying to achieve those goals? Or because the situation as is right now, as much as people say that we're backward a little bit, but we're still comfortable, do you think people
I think we shouldn't fall into that trap, comfort zone, no. But government is trying to set the tone, because it's government who can show business where we need to go. And the government is doing, but business has not really come to the party, because like Ubua, it's easy. more comfort zone. But sooner or later, business should figure out we need to diversify and go into 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Why is it so easy to build malls than build a factory?
It's because of the way our economy is structured. We have been a consumer economy all this time.
Yeah.
Before BTV, Neretsa Content South Africa, SABC.
Yeah.
So why come up with BTV? There's SABC. Before Morupule Power Station and BPC, Neretsa go Eskom. We still do, but not as much as before. Renale self-sustenance. Yeah. Go in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
But you need to know where COVID, you know, some of the things are not said.
Yeah.
But when COVID hit and everybody started closing in the economy, we had to check and take stock of how many food reserves do we have?
Yeah, ne?
How far can we go with the food reserves we have? It was scary. Because everybody was inward looking. Basa Itzor was going to happen. Haracheka, I think we had food reserves, Modi Silong, Modi supermarket and distributor to last 3 months.
Jesus.
3 months is nothing. 3 months is nothing. That's why then we came up with policies. We have to be self-sufficient. But we need to be able to produce our own food. So that if another COVID comes, we don't have to beg anybody.
Yeah.
At least the dijo, which is the bare minimum.
But has there been any backlash from, like, let's say, South Africa because of what we've decided to do, which is keep the vegetables, the fruits, and is there any backlash from doing that? Because these are trade agreements in a deal before. How easy was it, to step back from them?
Not backlash per se, but we do engage with them. But complain, but we show them why we are doing it and assure them that it cannot run indefinitely. It has to be timed so that I get our producers capacity to be able to produce and become competitive. Before, on Chopis, you can choose to buy tamati from Tsokomokane and tamati from Cape Town. And the South African government, it has its constituents, which are the farmers, especially in the Western Cape. They put pressure on the government. No, Botswana. But on our side, no, we are empowering our own people. And you go, interest.
Yeah, ne? Can you share some of actually, how does the ministry though support the local businesses and industries to become competitive outside of Botswana? Because we've always been looked at as in we take in. How is your ministry helping the local business, the industry, or the compete outside of Botswana and all over the world?
We try. First is through raising awareness. To do business outside the country is not like to do business here. The business or a bill of lading king, inco terms king, like international trade terms. For a hake regisetsa scama ya leko Ghana. Ke really selling cargo. Ha nyokwe repotile mo accounting. So businessmen have to learn. Otherwise, so we try and educate and capacitate through the program. BITC, a private sector development program. They do an analysis, situational analysis, and try and see through the SME sector what is the common deficiency business to become competitive, and try and upskill and capacitate them. And then through export development programs, still go BITC, is to try and get companies who are producing here for the local market to be able to export and become competitive in the regional and international market. Not only Ministry of Trade, I think the Ministry of Agriculture is doing the same. I'm sure now Botswana, we are at a point where we are ready to export like stud bulls or goats and all of that.
What about BK Proctor?
Le BK Proctor, same thing, textiles.
Eh.
If he meets the rules of origin, he can sell to the AGOA market, duty-free, kwa America. He can sell to the AFC market on Africa, duty-free, and compete with the rest of the labels. It's a more continent.
But so this is possible. This is open to any Botswana, like capacity or run a business and to even be considered. Or do you just find a market for yourself and then you go to the ministry for assistance? How do you do it if you think you found something? Like I saw that young man who now is distributing sanitary pads. I don't know if it's Kenya or he's Rwanda.
East Africa.
Rwanda. Stuff like that. How does that come together for, like, let's say, a young Botswana who's got like some bright ideas about putting together what they have, this brilliant idea? Because like that light bulb, homie, as well. You know, we see, we see like little examples like that, but we don't see them. So I'm always wondering why does it seem like the Botswana?
Yeah, because it's new, Ska. Mindsetting wa consumer mentality. Now we think this can be done. It's not an event. It's going to be a process through mindset change, through capacitating businesses, and trade financing is very important. For BK Proctor to be able to compete on the continent, he has to upgrade his factory or whatever. 30 million pool. Right now, SIDA limit, I think it's under 30 million. And do they have the belief or not? This guy can go out there and do it. It's very important for government now to step in to close that gap. Because the private lenders, they only lend to people with money, which defeats the whole purpose. So SIDA, BDC should plug that gap. And Batswana, first of all, with citizen-owned businesses, and secondly, Botswana-based businesses.
Can you share some of those success stories or industries that have thrived due to the ministry's efforts?
Oxygas and Silebipikwe. We saw it from bottom up, from scratch. Baira oxygen.
Oh, okay.
We facilitated them. It wasn't easy. We had to give them incentive to set up in Silebipikwe. Within government, we had to fight for those guys to get up and running. But COVID, there was no oxygen. And Oxygas, we could have been far. But at the end of the day, Oxygas is up and running. They're even exporting.
Outside of the country. All right. Do we have any other ones? Like, that's a big deal.
No, there are many.
That's a huge deal.
Diatech. Rang the laptop and
oh, okay, yeah.
Diatech, we facilitated them. They are set up in Spedu. They get incentives. And they are going out there. They're in Rwanda. They're in East Africa. You know? So hopefully one day Diatech will be one of the continent's premier most producers when it comes to techno and gadgets.
I don't know if this is petty, but I'm just going to ask it. But people always think like with these free trade agreements, it's for people to give us the outlet when we never send anything out there. For the average Botswana who is here and also try business, is it, I don't know if I'm asking it correctly. No. Is it too far to dream that big, or, you know, with my little company here? I mean, what steps should I take to ultimately, once I grow, let's say a pension, into business, so I'm not just looking at the population in Botswana. Is it too far-fetched for someone, let's say, in Khanzi or in Mulepolole?
It's not. But the outlier. Free trade agreement is not meant to encourage both second-hand clothing. Like currently, second-hand clothing is the most taxed import. How can you'll buy the bail, 30,000, BURS will charge you 100,000 in duties. Because idea is to encourage production here. But in terms of no ringa.
No, ne ke botsa gona gore how le the average.
Yeah, can you dream to
dream that
conquer
big?
them? You can, yes. But my advice would be like conquer your neighborhood, conquer your village, conquer your town, and then start dreaming to go out there. I'll draw analogies with football. Joining has to win the league here, to go and play Africa Champions League, and then the World Club Championship. It's the same with business. If Choppies want to go out there and compete with Checkers, go South Africa, compete with Nakumat, go Kenya, they have to perfect their game here so that they can go out there and expand. Let's say I have done that. Let's say the financial services provider. It's everywhere. It's in Namibia, it's in Tanzania, same as 10-Star. 10-Star Holdings, property development. They're everywhere. So even the young Batswana out there with innovative ideas can dream. But those dreams can only come to fruition if us government assist them. Trade finance, capacitation.
Let's explore the ministry's strategy for creating sustainable and vibrant economies. What are the future plans for Botswana's economic growth at this point in time?
The economic situation is fluid, but the principles are known. How do you grow economies? Services trade, manufacturing, industrial development. Really benchmarking for years now, Cabo Singapore. Those guys have nothing. But the economy and if you talk about industrial development, look at China. China, they're like at 1990. China was nowhere, but they went big into manufacturing. Now the Chinese economy, I think they've surpassed even the US. So we can learn those lessons, but you can learn, but you have to execute and implement.
And so what are the main challenges that Botswana faces, in becoming a more export-driven economy? Because just like with everything, we import more than we export. So what are the challenges that's stopping us from becoming that?
The main challenge, mindset. Our parents, they were about go to school, be a doctor, be a nurse, and work. There are very few Botswana entrepreneurs from that generation.
Yes, sir.
But now you can go to school and you are not guaranteed to get work. So the young ones, at least they are coming out now to say, no, we can get into business. We can do this business. But the challenge is financing. And that's where government has to step in. Because no matter what idea you have, if you go to ABSA now, only 20%, but I'm here to ask for money. Now you want money from me. Only security, property. Hey, I'm 25 years old. It's a guy security. Donald Trump, like you a million. Bill Gates, who funded them? I don't know. But America, they run a very different kind of economy, which is more tilted towards private sector than government. So it's easier to get funding from angel investors.
The angel investor.
So we tried, But I don't think our economy we are there yet, which is why we need government to plug that gap.
So how do we sustain increase? Like how do we sustain growth in our economy when it looks like there are these bright ideas, they come from this side, but it seems like these institutions decide look at the interpretation it's different. Now you're trying to be more innovative, but then the structures that be for us to be able to get help. So how does this get fixed?
We keep pushing until we have an example. We can't be business as usual, There has to be mindset change, even within government. We can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Example, like research and development. How we are research and development? How kaya budgeting Ministry of Trade we need 500 million for research and development. It's an alien concept to Botswana government. Ba gore, hey man, worry, research and development again.
Yeah.
But if you look at economies out there who grow, especially in new generation trade sectors or issues, about IT, fourth industrial revolution, companies, they set aside big amounts of money for research and development.
Yeah.
How about you have 4 billion, it's fine. But by you have 4 billion, other projects, they are here 40 billion, you know?
Yeah. There's every time I popped your name onto the thing, onto the internet, this word, the AFCFTA, which says that Botswana aims to, collaborate in that trade agreement and the utilization of the trade agreement thing, which is an African-based trade agreement. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Okay,
because there's a lot of writing about it everywhere.
Yeah.
And what is this thing?
AFCFTA. Before it's an ago, how Google go to a ball.
No.
This one time, ambassador of Russia about go a lunch meeting then. So I go there, we have lunch, rabua, trade, politics. So I can't tell you madalo one pozahor. What are the trainers
because what I know, and then you have to dig deep to get the other stuff.
No, I can't now too. How? No, AFCFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
Okay.
Free trade on the African continent.
All
right. Why free trade on the African continent? Free trade in Europe, America. It's because of our colonial legacy. Africa was colonized. Huh?
Yes, sir.
You have the Luophone, Portugal, and Angola, Mozambique, Francophone, a lot of West Africa, then Anglophone, Baba.
Yeah.
So, early 2000s, President a lot intra-Africa trade amongst Africans, 1.2% of all of Africa's trade. But why? But no, there are barriers. Free trade, infrastructure, industry is underdeveloped. But no. We have to come up with a solution to boost intra-Africa trade. First part of the solution is AFCFTA. Free trade on the continent. But you can have it, free trade on the continent. But as long as you don't have supporting infrastructure and the industry you are going to produce to trade with.
I want to know what free trade is. No taxes.
No duties.
No duties.
Customs duties.
Oh, customs duties, okay.
Because currently to send our beef to ECOWAS, before this agreement, you had to pay 20% duty. Now it's zero duty. It's a game changer. If an importer of beef go Ghana, and I had a choice to buy beef from Botswana through Walvis Bay or from Brazil, I think now it's cheaper to buy from Botswana. But previously, never from Brazil, hell out the west coast, it was cheaper to get beef from Brazil and Argentina.
What is the beef situation in Botswana? I mean, you pass by the BMC building and it's crumbling sometimes. I used to get to go in a long time. What is going on with the BMC? It used to be the pride of the
BMC
continent.
Plant was built in the 80s. So the audit. I got our premier destination in the European Union.
Yes.
So chance. You have to meet very strict standards. So audit. I think 5 years ago, they found a lot of deficiencies. We had to close the plant and basically rebuild it or refurbish it. I think now we are almost back to full production. Remita quota rona to Norway and Switzerland and them. We are able to meet our quota. We are able to export to the EU. And now we are looking at expanding and exporting more Africa.
Okay. So it is
I have
coming
hope
back.
that it will come right. Yeah.
So Kipo, what are the top 5 contributors to our GDP? I heard you mention Diamonds, of course, tourism.
Tourism, I think third is agriculture. Yeah.
Agriculture. Through beef.
Yeah.
Or through beef. Okay.
Le crop production.
It's your day job. Long-term goals for Botswana's economic development. I heard you saying, not in about 50 years, we shouldn't be thinking what we'll still be getting the money from our diamonds. What are our long-term goals for Botswana's economic development?
It's to diversify the economy. You swim or drown. We have no option but to diversify the economy. Because it's like we are a monolithic almost economy reliant on diamond trade. This year, the performance of DBS and by extension Batswana has not been good. So I can tell you the forecast now going into the next year and a half, belt tightening and reduce spending. But long term, we have no option but to diversify the economy.
So, is there ever any effect during like an election year, after elections? Is there ever, do things change, or does the climate change in how things are done after every election? Because I'm sure you've been through 3 different presidents now. Does anything ever change when there's an election in BW?
No, because Botswana has done well over the years.
Yeah.
Not to link the political side to the technocrat side. So ha you aditlopong bo minister aba chaisa. Yeah, to go and campaign. But government machinery still runs. Guess the country can run without politicians. But
we haven't tried it
but
yet.
The government machinery still runs. And it shouldn't matter if SCAR, you come back after October elections as having been elected president. Government machinery must run. You must take services to the people. You must pay service providers. Baba Hansela N3, I think not N3, A3, Francistown Mau. The government machinery must run.
Definitely. Recently, getting into the football side of things. You were on Gabs FM. I heard you having a conversation about having been taken off. Is it a voter's role? I don't know what to call it for the Botswana Football Association. I want to talk about that. After all these years, chief negotiating. Why are you trying to get into administration? The BFA.
Okay, you'll be there. I've been running my football team development.
Happy heart.
Hey, you'll be there. So I'm a stakeholder. I'm primary stakeholder. You'll be there looking and seeing what help are we getting from the association. Are things moving smoothly with the association? But when things start going south, you can tell. And then there will be pressure, lobbying. May his soul rest in peace. Brad C.D. Sexton used to bother me. Every day. He would call me for 1 hour on WhatsApp. Bolo, 2 weeks before the man died, I told him, Brad C.D., finally I made the decision, or I must raise up my hand. Because you see the news. If football is running well, the headlines should be Galaxy Rollers play thrilling cup final. Isn't president Kubile vice president league it's not happening this year. The Premier League teams are on strike. Murphy's Law, when anything that can go wrong goes wrong. The West, bottom, West, bottom.
Definitely.
So how nalo? Do you sit and say, busy? Oh, no. We love the sport too much for the generation that's coming to try and fix things. I think it's time now for people with genuine interest in football development to start to stand up and be counted. And it's not bad, but the big problem is similar where now you start deviating from principles of good corporate governance and running the association, where you move away from set rules and processes to individualize rules and processes. Like now, the registrar of societies are a forgery constitution. How does that happen? Example, say now, Rais or President Botswana can only serve 2 terms.
Yes, sir.
3 terms. No, constitution forgery. Parliament there. Constitution. That would be bottom of the bottomest. That's where BFA is right now. So now going there, I hope with all the other people who will be able to come in, we will be able to sit guys, let's introspect. We are in the pits, and we have to go back to basics.
Yeah.
Corporate governance, rule of law, set structures and agreements to be honored, and let the kids play football.
Yeah.
And our core business, okay, the playing side.
Yes.
Now, what is in the paper is the football politics side.
Yeah.
No, you don't know who the Spanish president FA is.
No.
But you know Lamine Yamal.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that's how it should be. So Rona Harelin thing, the president and the administration, IBFA, is more in the news than the players. Then you know you are in the pits.
But it's been like that for years, Pasha. Like where, I mean, and we thank Bra Sexton, and rest in peace, he finally knocked it into you, because I was sitting there also looking at you also as one of those people. Apart from, let's say, Mr. Tebogo Sebego, it looked like he was one of the ones he wasn't willing to let it fall by the wayside. But, there's these suspensions being thrown around. The recent one with you is that there was a list of names, including Bobore. I don't know the names. You can tell me about the names and why you guys can you tell us a little bit about that issue, because you did take it up and then what happened there?
It goes back to corporate governance and constitutionalism. If there are rules, you must stick by the rules. So the rules are, to be a candidate, you have to be involved in football. I'm involved in football.
Yes, sir.
You have to not have a criminal record. I don't have a criminal record. I submitted my police clearance. You do not have to be an insolvent. Because so
for sure.
And you have to be a person of good ethics. I meet all those criteria.
Yeah.
Now, for this election, for the first time, in addition to nomination by your region, my region, region, you need 5 supporting nominations from regions. Where am I going to get nomination? So I asked one of the guys to help me. I was outside the country on work assignment. Hi, Buabar, no, the former say, Hadi Sharp, because somebody who signed it, was signed it your opponent. But the bankanya, because no, Nkai di bankanya process it, it's a redisqualify. If they disqualify us, we start the process afresh. Ever no, you are disqualified. When so I knew for in law they couldn't do that. One, because the requirement was illegal. I am constitution. So then it went to appeal. They brought some 3 young, very professional lawyers. They don't know me, they don't know the president, they don't know the secretariat. They just look at facts and the law. Ever no. Motako zamaisa ndi topo. You can't come up with the rules. It's a constitution. It's like starting a football game. Every offside, rule change. I feel you. So Then we won the appeal, so now we will be on the poll.
The ballot that day.
Ballot paper, my name will be there.
So
and hopefully I will win.
You're standing for the vice presidency. Do you come with a group of your running mates? Do you come with a president, with a treasurer? How does it work?
No.
I want to run for vice presidency.
It's every man for himself and God for us all.
But people used to come with teams, like it.
I see that that's wrong. It defeats democracy. When you set up an executive, the roles are different.
Yeah.
You need a technical person, you need one good in administration, you need one with a finance background, but sometimes highly ready lobby list.
Yeah.
They sacrifice the technical expertise at the individual. No, cause on alerona. We ignore so now I advocate every man for himself, God for us all, and hopefully at the end of the day we will have the best individuals elected for each position my NEC.
Why did you go for the vice presidency and not the presidency?
I was lobbied to do the presidency.
Yeah.
No. Next thing 2 years useless.
Yeah.
But and then Masero has been in the system.
Yeah.
Then he has been vice president one. I could assist him. At the end of the day.
Oh, he's running for presidency.
He's running for presidency.
No, not biased.
Masero le Tariq le really sweet. So
Tariq too.
But at the end of the day, it's not about the president. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
No one man can think for the whole organization. It's about how the team complements each other. Whether X, Y, or Z president, if there's no chemistry in the team, we will fail like we are seeing now.
Yeah.
What's happening now never happened in the history of Botswana football.
Yeah. Okay, for you, just looking at it, because you are an analytical person, where did it start going wrong for BW football? Not individuals, but you can name or you can state times. Where did you think we went wrong? Because I remember during AFCON, we were ecstatic. We actually felt that we might even go back for another one. But from that moment, for me, I think after that, after we came back home, everyone never looked at football the same again. So I don't know, from your point of view, where do you think it all started going south?
It started going south before AFCON even, because football is a simple game. If you take care of the development structures, they will take care of the national team.
Yeah.
You don't build top down. So team e ileng AFCON utlile re khantele ka re rekile ra Ghana 3 weeks. Mo bathong ba ne ba ile Ghana 3 weeks there. You had some fall along the wayside.
Yes,
you had Deep Sea and Marumo.
Yes, sir.
And then Diamond Zabras, you had Mohori. So you should look at the span of time that it took to plan for AFCON 2012.
Yeah.
And the good thing about AFCON 2012, when we started, Uncle Ben Kofi was technical director here.
Yeah.
So when those guys qualified for Gabon, he was president of the Ghana FA.
Okay.
And that's 2 years before he died. He came to the Botswana dressing room because Botswana played Ghana. He was happy to see Deep Sea.
Oh, he came through?
Yes.
Whoa.
He was happy to see Deep Sea and Mohori and Marumo.
So Ben Kofi came through? Wow,
yes,
man.
it takes meticulous planning. So to go back to Botswana AFCON, we have to start fixing development. But now, people think we have to fix zebras by hiring a coach, 250. No. We have to start bottom up.
Yes, sir. So
we have a planning cycle the next 15 years to go to AFCON again. And if we miss it, we won't go to AFCON. Between now and the 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
But you need to plan. Le Brazil is by a chance that they won the World Cup. They scout guys, Neymar, Coutinho. At 10 years old, they're within the Brazil national team structures. They show you pictures or no. This guy, we scouted them by 9 years. Now they're playing for the Seleção. Lerona, same thing. We sort out the governance. Then we go back to the core business, which is football development. Then in the next 10 years, we will have a Botswana player playing for Man United. Nana, they're not special. They know to develop a player, you have to put in the work, put in the money. And we lost the plot there.
Do you think it's because it's business people who have been at the helm of football and not former players like yourselves that we find ourselves in this situation? Do you think that they have a different motivation than, let's say, you and other players like former players like Bonoborre Sebego might have?
No. That would be unfair to Rally Tswiti. Rally Tswiti has been surrounded by former players. Rasebego is a former player. Makale Mele is a former player. David Fani, okay, he was an administrator, but Lena are surrounded like former players. Obviously, you need the technical input, but there must be political will. You must understand, as BFA, you have 2 jobs. Development, youth, Les Zabras as the flagship. But to get to Zabras, you have to develop the youth. Which is why it was good for the Premier League in BFA in semi-autonomous. So BFA can concentrate on football development, the national teams.
Talking about the Botswana Premier League, what is the ideal relationships between an FA and the Premier League? Because we don't see one right now. There's letters after letters, and you might say that the Botswana Premier League, is up for sale. If you got the most money, then you probably will be running it. There is not a lot of integrity that comes with what comes out of there. And, this is just my sole opinion. What is the ideal relationship between an FA and the Premier League?
The Premier League is an affiliate of the FA. But the FA should not Premier League because, like I said, FA mandate development and national teams. Premier League should run as a quasi-commercial entity, what you see in South Africa now. Let the Premier League run the league and do what they do. The National Association run development, the regions, and the national teams. You need to, from the start, Obotsara governance. Premier League Tsara governance from the start. Because the first mistake they made was to have a board made up of chairmen of all the teams. Already you have conflict of interest. If the owners of the teams now sit in the board, the teams, what is going to happen? Conflict of interest. Which is why you have semamang favorite team that should not happen. But it seemed like they were on the right direction. But May they're going to elect an independent board, a leaner board maybe of 5 people. But now BFA it's a management of the Premier League. BFA is a part like a core business development, the lead national team. So it puts our going forward,
Yeah, but it just looks murky, like it's
a big mess. We are in the pits.
So with that said, let me talk to your vision and your goals for Botswana football. If you do end up becoming vice president, what are we trying to do, Phadza?
It's easy, man. We just go back to the principles. Good corporate governance. Go back to the mandate of the association. Deal with football development. The rest will take care of itself. And I hope you won't see BFA admin in the news. You'll be seeing football teams. Botswana under 17 wins Kwasafa Cup. Botswana women's national team qualifies for the Olympics. That's the kind of news you should hear. It's disciplinary hearing, reinstated. Come on, man.
But as my big homie, I have to ask you this, aren't you walking into this thing bright-eyed, hoping that things will work properly? And just like everyone else who's walked in and found, I've never seen a more a more messy organization. Because hell house and stress, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Are you walking into this fully knowledgeable of what you might be running into?
Yeah, that's what football prepares you for.
Yeah.
You prepare your best. You know there's 3 outcomes: win, lose, or draw.
Yes, sir.
Even as a leader, how's our responsibility? You know, you can succeed. You may not succeed. But what is important is that first step to take responsibility for. I think I can be part of the solution to solve this problem. Give it your best shot. If it succeeds, fine. If it doesn't, you raise up your hand. Or you know.
Yeah, but hey, because now like every single time. I mean, we've been trying to also get Resebero over here, and he's been suspended a lot. Him and Retarik have been suspended. How do you feel being in that company where you know you're one of the ones who is being put away from the ballot? Do you think there is a concerted effort to stop people like yourselves from getting into football administration?
I don't think it's to stop people like myself. There's a concerted effort by those in power to remain in power.
Okay.
Because otherwise, why would they be accused of forging the constitution? That's a big accusation.
Yeah.
And they have to clear it on the civil side, go register of societies. And if found there was foul play, people will have to account. Go criminal law, people will be charged. So people make rules to run organizations. And rule number 1, never deviate from the rules. Never. Once you deviate from the rules, why did you high court? Why did you deviate from the rules?
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're in trouble, huh? Yeah, no, no, I like where 2024 is going. Okay, so how are you going to leverage your experience in government in trying to benefit the football community?
Yeah. Having worked in government, then you learn their processes. There are systems for checks and measures. You know, corporate governance. Respect the law, follow the law, then you can't go wrong. Those principles you cannot buy from the supermarket. It comes with experience, having learned from those before you, after you. You read cases. Then you know, when the situation confronts you, you can't do this. Yeah. You have to do this.
Yeah. So with that though, I'm starting to be more hopeful now. Why do you think that it's so hard for people to put money into football? Because the Botswana Galaxy are going out to BFA and they're competing really well. It's not like it's all done. I mean, the league is the one that we tell us not prize money. But as far as competing, there are some really good teams out there. Why do you think that corporate Botswana is not trying to put money into football anymore?
No, it's simple. Nobody wants to be linked to a dirty product. Yeah. So corporate Botswana, one of the people who recently sponsored the league or get a football, his board was asking him, Mister, why recommit Amadi in such a messed up situation,
Yeah.
So the first thing to do is to fix our governance, to pull together with the regions. Then football will get sponsors. Because it's not like football has never had sponsors.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Football had sponsors. You've had Mascom, you have B-Mobile, you've had Orange, you've had KBL, you've had all of them sponsoring football. Now Choppies has come back. We hope all the others will come back and new ones will come. But everybody wants to be associated with the winning product. That's why the runner of Botswana, Litsile.
Yeah.
He's got Nike, he's got Tag Heuer, he's got Orange, he's got everybody. Because he's clean.
Yeah.
Hana excess baggage, you know. But right now, football Botswana. Hey, how lebaya lawarai? No, not there.
Yeah. So with that said, I still want to stay on the football because I think you know, I love football. I think you know that much. And I'm looking at like how now teams are selling their statuses, you know, and what that means for football going forward. We saw it start with South Africa a lot where Bloemfontein Celtic was selling their statuses. Yeah, no, was it Center Chiefs might buy someone's status? Those things, I mean, what does that mean for where we're at right now? Are we getting deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole? Or, you know, that's the only way teams can survive? Because Larry Buaka Huduela, the player, you know, we're not even talking the same amounts that we used to talk about back in the day. So, like, where are we at with that from your point of view?
I think some of the teams who have threatened to withdraw from the league, it's a protest.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, or I'm putting my money in this and the league is rubbish, you know. It's by way of protest, but I have a feeling they won't pull the plug.
Yeah.
Because both the teams now are starting youth development structures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or another reason may be that they started from top down instead of bottom up.
Okay.
To run a Premier League team, Scar, your overheads, man, just the wage bill for an average team is 250K wage bill. And Obajako Rapa, Wednesday, 3 o'clock. You have to book accommodation in Francistown. Sunday, you go joining. You have to book a bus. So overheads, we are talking close to 500K.
Yeah.
You put 500K of your family money in a team, then next week there's a strike. What would you do? Why not take your money somewhere else? Go and buy a Range Rover or a Porsche.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's by way of protest. And once we get out of these murky waters, things will normalize and you'll see more corporates sponsoring teams, more corporates setting up their own teams.
Yeah. I want to talk back again about like the boogeyman within football, that are figureheads within our football. And they're not former players like yourself. You know, they just have a gang of money, you know, and it looks like they have autonomy over the decisions that they make. If they want to be board chairman, if they want to buy this team, if they want to get away from this team, it's like we see the same players. And I'm not trying to get sued, so I'm not going to mention names. And I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. They never really have that much respect for former players. What do you think is going to be different with you? Like, don't you think they're going to be calling on the same, little nuances about like how former players don't know anything about business and they don't know anything about economics and all of that? Aren't you not afraid? I can't say are you afraid. Aren't you a little bit, you know, not intimidated?
Yeah, not
even.
No, not even.
Not even.
Why is
it seems like they run around how they want, and I think that's the main reason why the Botswana Premier League is the way that it is, you know, because that's where
No, luckily for me in my job, I deal with business, big business. Yes, I deal with big political figures, so I can't be intimidated. Yeah. But while I'll tell you, we encourage these moneyed people to get involved in football. Yeah, we do encourage. We need more of them in football sponsoring teams so that you don't have teams struggling to go and honor fixtures. But they will only try and take shortcuts if they see there are no rules, there are no processes, so they can get around it by the shortcut.
Yeah.
And we know the shortcut, what do they lead to? Manipulation of games, manipulation of referees. All those things happen. Highly missed a step. The starting point, good corporate governance.
Yeah.
Hey, once everything runs properly and the league gets go Premier League, the chairman or Man City or manipulate the league. It can happen only here. Yeah. But once you fix that and put processes in place, We go back to the rule of law where everybody is equal. These things you won't hear. It will be the last you hear of these things.
Yes. Awesome stuff. I think we're going towards closing, and I just want to know, what advice would you give the young athletes and professionals in transitioning between careers? And is this something that you advise, or is this a time where they can actually just be athletes?
Hey, how can hey, bolo ya idea.
Yeah.
Hey, chief, if you got it, go for it. Not advice to athletes only, but to the parents of the athletes.
Yeah.
Support these boys. Okay, not all of them will make it, but some will, you know, especially in football. 10 years ago, I was coaching my under-12s. Some of them, they're working, some abuse the substance.
Yeah.
But out of 50 kids, maybe 4 have made it to the Premier League.
Yeah.
And when you look at them, that's something. Now let's try and multiply the 4 to get 8 now to the Premier League.
Yeah.
So parents should be supportive, because now, Scar, you can go and get a law degree and stay for years without employment. So if you are lucky enough to be talented in sports, go for it.
Yeah. And for you, you are an incredible midfielder. Right now, looking around, who are your top 5 best midfielders in BW right now? Or is 5 too much?
No, obviously, it's the guys playing for Zabras, Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
I like Toli.
Yeah.
His onale industrial. Le mosha ha go nga tshameka ha gare.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't get to see a lot of Premier League matches, but Haile Zabras, I got Premier League, my team is playing.
Yeah.
But Haile Zabras, I do go. There are quite a lot of good players around.
Happy Hearts managed to get up, I think, in second division. Where you at now?
We went to first and came back.
Oh, come on.
Because we started top down. Now we learned the lesson. You must go bottom up.
So what are the aspirations for Happy Hearts at this moment in time?
Is to go and play Al Ahly in the Champions League final in 7 years,
Hey,
yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So as far as like the Zebras right now, when they go out to play, what do you think? What is usually playing in your mind? Are you trying to watch the game? Are you excited
Always. I live here to go to every game in Francistown.
For real?
Yeah. Because when there's nothing like the vibe ya Zebra Seaweed.
Yeah.
Tebogo can win the Olympic gold.
Yeah.
There will be a vibe.
Yeah.
But that vibe cannot match the first match, Botswana, Ghana, 2012 AFCON.
Yeah.
People bought every light sky blue T-shirt, whether it's Zabras or anything.
Yes,
there
sir.
was no Botswana color in the shops.
No
That's
doubt.
how big football is. Huh?
No doubt. And in closing, how's the family? Ghana, you are married to one of my childhood friends, and you guys are lawyering up at the crib. How is the family?
The family is good. We have
Yes,
2
sir.
kids now, 14-year-old boy. He's
Yeah.
a swimmer. So he chose swimming, and the little girl is 6. She dances.
Oh, wow. No individual sports. Not that I wish I'd played tennis or karate. Because if you like le rugby ne din jesa o kana ro bona le majita motho a sa give you as much, But when you were one of our greater midfielders, do you think because you were like a jack of all trades, like you were good at what you could have mastered being a footballer and gone out there? Because the stories that everyone talks about you were one of the greats, King.
Yeah, hey, football is tough. When you want to play in South Africa, you compete guys from Nigeria, guys from Egypt. Now they're getting guys from Argentina, from Peru. Football is tough. I always say it's easier to make it more individual sports.
Yeah.
Amantle Monsune Batsinsomo programming and developed through that. They made it to. She became a world champion.
Yes, sir.
I think people forget this.
Yes, sir.
She's our first and only world champion, Amantle Mons. But
Yes, sir.
football,
Majita ba
Nigeria hella with 170 million. How
Yeah.
many players are there?
Jesus.
So to make it, for Dipsy to make it to the MLS, Go US, yeah, it's big. US about 200 million
Yes,
people.
sir.
Dipsy made it to the MLS.
Yeah, people never really put that into context.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. We absolutely appreciate having you with us, you know, and telling us about your life story and also about like Botswana, because sometimes we never really know about all of these things, and also of course about the football, and we'll be rooting for you. You know, any last words, you know, and how people can stay updated with, you know, your candidacy for the vice presidency. I know you're on Facebook, but any last words and where people can catch you?
It would be easier to win an open election like Butale did. This is tough because there's 38 people voting.
Oh no!
In the region, so we know all the 38 people. So Kibuele one of those 38 people, we are in a mess. So, bolo e shapu, rele sahela, or like team or has a perform substitute and try and see or change our formation. Can we get better results? But I will try and meet each and every one of those 38 people, tell them my vision and what I bring to the table, and hopefully they will listen. And after the election, I will be BFA Vice President 1.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Mr. Phadza.
My pleasure.
Right, Dumela. And yo, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, that's how we wrap it up, man. Leo's in. Remember to check them out. Middle Star. And this is the PODI-CAST episode 60, baby. Peace.
People of different identities.